see what they think is weak point and what I think is, and try to make them not only look better, feel better.
I want to go through the same shit he went through. Because that shit worked.
Empowering physique where he stood and he looked like Mr. Olympia.
Then you gotta put in the work, you gotta hit the door. And when it gets hard, you gotta go, oh, come on, give me some help.
Speaking of beef, Dennis the Menace James.
What I always did was I always got a hold of the DVDs.
More than anyone I've seen. I mean, I watch his routine and he lives it by the clock.
Number 15. Phil Heath. No countdown of the biggest bodybuilders in history can begin without the mention of Phil Heath. Philip Gerard Heath is a titan of the American IFBB professional bodybuilders. He is a 7-time Mr. Olympia winner, having won the competition every year from 2011 to 2017. His latest victory tied him with Arnold Schwarzenegger for the joint second number of all-time Mr. Olympia wins, behind Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney, who are joined first with 8 wins each. His physique is considered one of the best and most well-balanced bodybuilding physiques of all time. But what makes him an unrivaled legend, or the massive 3 trunks 4 arms he is very well known for? In 2011, Heath finally became Mr. Olympia when he defeated Cutler. In 2010, Cutler had a better glute spread than Heath, but in 2011, Heath improved his glute spread, which was the deciding factor for his win. In both 2012 and the next year's Mr. Olympia, Heath successfully defended his Mr. Olympia title against Kai Green, making him a 3-time Mr. Olympia winner. Phil Heath also went on to win the 2013 Arnold Classic Europe. Phil's running streak eventually came to an end, but this legend left an unbeatable legacy behind. Number 14. Ronnie Coleman. If Phil Heath is a legend of the bodybuilding world, Ronald Dean Coleman is a god ruling over the hearts of the people as well as the bodybuilding stage. The winner of the Mr. Olympia title for 8 consecutive years, he is widely regarded as either the greatest bodybuilder of all time or one of the 2 greatest, along with Arnold Schwarzenegger. His was the most dominant bodybuilding physique ever to grace the stage. Winner of 26 IFBB professional titles, he is also renowned for his combination of size and conditioning, dominant body parts, and extremely heavy workouts. His rise to the top in the professional circuit of bodybuilding was relatively slow. For his first participation at the Mr. Olympia contest in 1992, he wasn't ranked. Then in 1994, he placed 5th, then 10th in 1995, 6th in 1996, and 9th in 1997 when Dorian Yates won his 6th and last title before retiring. The following year, Kenneth Wheeler was favored to become the 10th individual Mr. Olympia title holder, with predominant competition coming from Nasser El Sonbati, Kevin Levron, and Sean Ray. However, Coleman, whose Night of Champions victory earlier in the year had considerably elevated his esteem in the bodybuilding world, brought substantial improvements to the stage and went on to defeat Wheeler by 3 points for his Mr. Olympia win. Some of his surgeries had such poor outcomes that he may never be able to walk unassisted again. Broken down but certainly not forgotten, this warrior will forever remain a hero to many. Number 13. Marcus Roll. Marcus Roll is a German professional bodybuilder who at his peak boasted one of the most impressive sets of shoulders ever seen in bodybuilding. In his youth, Marcus received a major blow to his knee, bringing his future in soccer into question. That changed his orientation from one career to another. As part of the recovery process, Marcus began training in the gym. As soon as he saw the changes in his physique from lifting weights, Marcus decided to go after bodybuilding instead of soccer. A great decision since Marcus became the star of the 2000s. He was the freak of freaks, possibly the biggest mass monster of all time, who even made Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman look small on stage. Of course, we have to add that this wasn't the case every year, as Ronnie elevated his physique to unbelievable heights in 2003 and even surpassed Raul in terms of size. But before that, Raul was the heavier athlete. You may ask if he was bigger than Coleman and Cutler, then how come he never won Mr. Olympia? Well, on one hand, Marcus's physique was never athletic. He didn't have an appealing structure. He participated in 8 Mr. Olympia shows. His best placing was in 2004 when he took 5th. On the other hand, politics also took part in Raul's not too good placings. He still claims that organizers cheated the results directly so that their own sponsored athlete, Evan Centopani, would win the show. Marcus even has proof of this. He has a photo of one of the scoring judges' sheets on which they declared that Raul should be first. The next day, however, the result was completely different. Politics ruins everything. Number 12. Lou Ferrigno. In 1975, the Brooklyn-born bodybuilder Lou Ferrigno, aka The Hulk, was one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's biggest competitors. After graduating from high school in 1969, Ferrigno won his first major title, IFBB Mr. America. 4 years later, he won the title IFBB Mr. Universe. Early in his career, he lived in Columbus, Ohio, and trained with Arnold Schwarzenegger. In 1974, he came in second on his first attempt at the Mr. Olympia competition. He came in third the following year, and his attempt to beat Arnold Schwarzenegger was the subject of the 1977 documentary Pumping Iron. The documentary made Ferrigno famous. After a 17-year hiatus from professional bodybuilding, Ferrigno came back for the Mr. Olympia tournament in Helsinki in 1992. Here, he finished in the 12th place. Lou returned to the competition the following year and finished in 10th place, which would also be his last appearance at the event. In 1994, Lou made his final competitive appearance at the Masters Olympia event. These victories, however, did not provide enough income for him to earn a living. Ferrigno took his talents elsewhere and played a beloved Marvel character on screen for many years. The now 71-year-old is a cherished name not only in the bodybuilding community but also in the world of comic fandom. Apart from bodybuilding and acting, Ferrigno also served in the sheriff's department for a brief period after retirement. He is also the owner of the fitness equipment line Ferrigno Fitness. Number 11. Jay Cutler. Who hasn't heard of the famous Coleman-Cutler rivalry? Cutler was the perfect challenger for Coleman. He was lean, muscular, and superb poser in his prime. The two pushed each other and the sport to new heights, resulting in one of the most memorable rivalries bodybuilding has ever seen. After finishing as the runner-up at the Mr. Olympia 4 times to the legendary Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler finally won the sport's ultimate prize in 2006. He went on to amass 3 more victories at the big show until his retirement in 2013, solidifying himself as one of the most successful bodybuilders to ever grace the stage. Cutler became famous for his quad stump, which helped him inscribe his name in the annals of bodybuilding. It had never been achieved by any other athlete to finish first at the Olympia after slipping down the rankings. It was Cutler's stump that gave him the victory over Jackson and his fellow competitor Branch Warren in 2009. A decade after he retires from bodybuilding, Cutler continues to train hard and stay in shape all year round. However, he has taken a smart approach and controlled the intensity of training and gear used to focus on long-term health. Number 10. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger began lifting weights at age 15 and won the Mr. Universe title age 20 and subsequently the Mr. Olympia title 7 times. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time, his place secured firmly in the annals of history. Schwarzenegger was nicknamed the Austrian Oak in his bodybuilding days, and his legacy is commemorated in the Arnold Classic annual bodybuilding competition. One of the first competitions he won was the Junior Mr. Europe contest in 1965. He won Mr. Europe the following year at age 19. He would go on to compete in many bodybuilding contests and win most of them. His bodybuilding victories include 5 Mr. Universe wins, 4 at NABA in England, 1 at IFBB in the USA, and 7 Mr. Olympia wins, a record which would stand until Lee Haney won his 8th consecutive Mr. Olympia title in 1991. He wore many hats in the course of his multiple careers. Besides the Austrian Oak, he was lovingly called Arnie or Schwartzy during his acting career, and he was titled the Governator during his political career as Governor of California. Number 9. Paul Dillett. The 90s saw a new kind of physique. The mass monster became the norm. It was all about how huge a competitor could get, all the while maintaining definition and symmetry. The French-Canadian Paul was a bodybuilder that was just as impressive as the competition and even had the same freaky size as Coleman. To say he was massive is a huge understatement. Though he may not have been able to pull it all together like Coleman, Dillett had the kind of combination of height and size that made him one of the more memorable fixtures in bodybuilding at the time. Even in terms of pumping iron, the man was one of a kind. Swole doesn't even start to cover it. It served him well since Paul competed as a bodybuilder for the first time in 1991 at the North American Championships and bagged second place. In 1993, he appeared in his first Mr. Olympia bodybuilding contest and attained 6th place. But the man who was once called Frankenstein for being the biggest bodybuilder was clinically demised on stage for more than a minute in 1994. The event in question was the Arnold Classic competition, named after the famous Hollywood star and ex-bodybuilder Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. But Dillett found himself in some serious trouble on stage while he was presenting. He was in a seriously dehydrated state and collapsed, requiring an emergency rush off the hospital. At the hospital, they found that Dillett was so frail that doctors couldn't even find a vein to inject him. His career then petered out and he announced his retirement from bodybuilding in the year 2012. Number 8. Rolly Winkler. Hailing from the Dutch island of Curaçao, Rolly has built an impressive physique, being known for his incredible symmetry, size, and definition. He'd always been interested in bodybuilding, appearing in amateur shows in mainland Netherlands, placing highly due to naturally sporting a big, lean frame. It wasn't Rolly's intention to become a pro during this period, but that all changed after he was involved in a serious car accident that almost took his life in 2004. After coming to his senses in the hospital, he realized that he was wasting his potential by not pursuing a fitness career. As a result, at the age of 27, Rolly made the big decision to focus his efforts on earning a pro card. Over the next 5 years, Rolly trained rigorously, working to gain size while sculpting a lean physique. After making a name for himself in the amateur leagues, the Dutchman finally realized his first goal after winning the 2009 NPC Arnold Amateur Championships, becoming a professional bodybuilder. In 2010, Rolly achieved his biggest victory yet, earning his first trophy as a professional at the IFBB New York Pro Competition, beating the likes of more established athletes such as Hidetada Yamagishi and Dennis Wolf. Rolly soon became recognized as one of the most promising bodybuilders of his era. Number 7. Dennis Wolf. A native of the former USSR who moved with his family to Germany in 1992, Dennis Wolf first became interested in bodybuilding as a hobby. However, his excellent genetics soon became apparent, and Dennis decided to begin competing on the international stage. He made his amateur debut at the 1999 NRW Newcomer Championships, placing second in the heavyweight class, and claimed his first win the following year at the 2000 NRW International Championships, taking home the heavyweight and overall trophies. In 2005, Dennis won the heavyweight and overall classes at the German National Championships, then turned pro with heavyweight and overall wins at the World Amateur Championships, paving the way for his IFBB professional debut at the 2006 Europa Super Show in Texas. In 2007, Dennis claimed his first professional victory at the Keystone Pro Classic, and later that year, placed 5th at the prestigious Mr. Olympia. He retired after placing 12 in the Arnold Classic in 2018. Number 6. Dennis James. Dennis "The Menace" James is an IFBB professional bodybuilder from Heidelberg, Germany. He is well known as an accomplished athlete and for his larger-than-life character. Growing up, Dennis was extremely sporty and always stayed fit. After becoming involved in bodybuilding at an early age, he decided to take part in junior competitions. He started training in bodybuilding when he was 18 years old. Soon his hard work bore fruit, with him winning the International South German Championships in 1985, the International German Grand Prix in 1986, and the 1986 New York State Championship all junior category. He stopped training because he was not eligible to join the German nationals since he did not hold German citizenship, but made a comeback in 1990 after he left Germany. In 2010, James said that the 2010 Mr. Olympia would be his last competition. He also said that he had lied about his age in the past and that he will be 45 years old soon. He announced the end of his competitive career in 2012. He has continued to train and mentor other bodybuilders. Number 5. Greg Kovacs. Greg Kovacs was a professional bodybuilder who was the biggest ever bodybuilder to walk the IFBB stage. Sadly though, he never really achieved mass popularity. A Canadian IFBB pro, the size Kovacs carried was monstrous. At 6'4", Kovacs managed 330 pounds on stage and a whopping 420 pounds in the off-season. To give you a vague idea, Phil Heath, the reigning Mr. Olympia, weighs 252 pounds on stage and 280 pounds in the off-season. Ronnie Coleman, one of the greatest ever, was always at 300 pounds contest weight and 315 pounds off-season weight. This how big and surpassing Kovacs was in terms of sheer muscle mass. Apart from the baffling weight mentioned above, Kovacs had 25-inch biceps, which he peaked at 27 inches in his prime. His chest measured 70 inches and his legs an unbelievable 35 inches. This makes him to date the biggest ever bodybuilder to step on the Arnold Classic and the IFBB Mr. Olympia stage. Yes, bigger than Big Ramy, who weighs 286 pounds on stage and 318 pounds off-season. Kovacs earned his IFBB Pro card in 1996. In June 1997, he appeared on the cover of Flex magazine. His highest professional bodybuilding place was 13th at the 2004 Arnold Classic. But his later life is a sorry tale of missed chances. Number 4. Dorian Yates. From 1992 to 1997, Dorian Yates was the face of bodybuilding. In that time, the man known as the Shadow racked up 6 consecutive Mr. Olympia titles, beating out top-flight competitors like Kevin Lavron, Nasser El Sonbati, Sean Ray, and Lee Labrada along the way. His illustrious career began quite by chance. When Yates was 18, he and his friends were arrested while crossing Birmingham to get to a party. One day after the 1981 Birmingham City Center riots, they claimed to have come across a partially broken shop window when one of Yates' friends attempted to steal a hat off a mannequin. It had fallen, smashing the rest of the shop window in the process. Each of them received 6 months at Watton Youth Detention Center, where Yates would take up weight training. His professional record consists of 15 major contest wins and 2 second places finishes. From 1982 to his retirement in 1997, he won every single contest he entered. His career ended in large part due to chronic acute injuries, including torn biceps and triceps, the latter just 3 weeks before his final contest, the 1997 Mr. Olympia, which he won despite the injury. His win generated controversy among fellow athletes, critics, and amateurs who thought the runner-up Nasser El Sonbati deserved to win. Yates is considered to be the first of the mass monsters in bodybuilding. He combined his enormous muscle mass with peak conditioning, coded as being granite hardness. Jean-Pierre Faux. Swiss strongman Jean-Pierre Faux competed alongside the likes of Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates in the 1990s before a freak injury at a photo shoot effectively ended his bodybuilding career. Jean-Pierre Faux frequently rivaled bodybuilding titans like Ronnie Coleman for the titles of Mr. Universe and Mr. Olympian during contests in the 1990s. But like his compatriot Dorian Yates, whose tendon became 95% detached in a grisly injury, the Swiss strongman's career was curtailed when he suffered a freakish leg injury. After the incident, Jean-Pierre's legs were confined to a straight cast for 10 weeks, and even though he went on to perform on a couple of other occasions, the injury ultimately brought about the end of the bodybuilder's successful career. Number 2. Lee Haney. Lee Haney is an American former IFBB professional bodybuilder. Haney shares the record for most Mr. Olympia titles at 8 with Ronnie Coleman and is regarded as one of the greatest bodybuilders to ever grace the stage. In 1979, he won one of his first competitions, the Teen Mr. America. 3 years later, he finished first in the Amateur World Championships, which allowed him to turn professional the following year in 1983. Nicknamed Total Lee Awesome, Lee Haney began to perform well. He finished second in the Swedish and English Grand Prix and won the Las Vegas Grand Prix, as well as the Night of Champions organized in New York. That same year, he took 3rd place in the Mr. Olympia, an edition won by the Lebanese participant Samir Banaut. Lee Haney's reign began in 1994. When he was only 24 years old, the American bodybuilder won his very first Mr. Olympia. He will win 7 others consecutively to bring his total to 8 victories between 1984 and 1991. Number 1. Mamdou El Sabia. Mamdou Mohamed Hassan El Zabia, also known as Big Ramy, is an Egyptian IFBB professional bodybuilder. He is a 2-time Mr. Olympia champion, winning in 2020 and 2021. Mamdou Mohamed Hassan El Sabia worked as a fisherman before moving to Kuwait, where he started to train professionally in Kuwait City in 2009. El Sabia earned his pro card by winning the overall title at the 2012 Amateur Olympia in Kuwait City. In 2010, he joined Oxygen Gym in Kuwait. By 2011, he weighed 200 pounds, and when he stepped on the 2012 Amateur Olympia Kuwait stage, he weighed in at 286 pounds and was declared the champion. In 2013, El Sabia made his IFBB Pro debut at the New York Pro, which he won. In 2020 and 2021, he won the Mr. Olympia contest. Into the 2022 Mr. Olympia, Mamdouh Big Ramy El Sabia was considered the presumed heavy favorite. The former two-time defending champion had ringing endorsements from Olympia icons like Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney. With various training updates showcasing his trademark mass, it seems inevitable that the Egyptian bodybuilding titan would become only the 8th person to win Mr. Olympia on at least 3 occasions. Instead, in a surprising upset that made Olympia history, Hadi Choopan captured his first career Olympia title, while El Sabia notched a disappointing 5th place result. El Sabia made sure to congratulate Choopan for the Iranian athlete's remarkable achievement in finally climbing bodybuilding's tallest mountain. In particular, El Sabia seemed to appreciate that Choopan likely won't take the Olympia mantle lightly. Now that's how true heroes are. That's all we have for you folks. Join us next time.